Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Young here, and today I'm back in our Fortnite video. And in today's video, I wanted to do a controller settings video in which I show you guys some settings for those of you guys who play without an elite controller, without a scuff, without playing claw. Just because personally, I've been playing on an elite controller probably since about season 2 or 3. So all of my settings videos for controller binds have been geared towards that. So I really wanted to make a video showcasing the controller binds of some of you guys who maybe don't play on a scuff, don't play on claw or anything like that, or if you guys are just curious what type of binds those players would typically use. I'm going to be showing you exactly the binds that I think are going to be the best to use, and of course these are just a personal preference. So if you guys do use something different, for you guys could be a little bit better, but I feel like if I didn't play with an elite controller, because personally I would never play claw, it just doesn't feel comfortable at all. But if I didn't have a scuff or an elite controller, then these would be the settings that I would use. And I did get some recommendations from some of my friends that don't play on elite or scuff or anything like that, so these are recommended from a lot of my friends that don't play on it. And before we get into the video, make sure you guys do drop a like, helps me out quite a bit. So make sure you guys do smash a like on this video, I really do appreciate it. So make sure you guys do smash that like and subscribe if you guys are new. So let's go ahead and hop into the settings that I currently have on, just to showcase everything that I got. I'm not going to be covering sensitivity and all that. If you guys want to know my sensitivity, I think I play on, I believe, like a 7.8 X and Y. I definitely made a settings video not too long ago. If you guys want to check out my X and Y and all that kind of good stuff, definitely check that video. I really want to be focusing on controller binds in this specific video. So let's go ahead and get into it for combat controls. Everything is pretty much the same on the left side. You have inventory, place marker, map, emote. Everything's pretty normal. And then when you go down a little bit further, my edit button is going to be L3. So you click the left stick, and that's going to be how I edit. And I heard from a lot of people this is probably one of the best buttons you can use for edit if you don't play on claw or anything like that, because it's already on your analog stick. It's a little bit weird for me. I know a lot of people that have gotten very, very good at it, but for me, I feel like it's kind of weird. If you don't like that, maybe you could switch up your edit bind to probably A. That could also be a very good one, but I think L3 or left stick down is probably going to be your best bet when it comes to editing, because it's something that you're going to use a lot because you edit every single game you play Fortnite. So it just makes sense that you want to have it as close and as most accessible as possible. So left stick down is going to be, in my opinion, the best bind to have for editing. So that pretty much covers the left side. And so going on to the right side, you have toggle pickaxe as Y. Pretty normal. Reload is going to be X. Switch mode, you can have it as B. Some people switch it around, but I think B is probably your best bet. You can even switch it to A if you really want to, and maybe put your crouch as B. You could definitely do that. I feel like that might be a little bit easier for those guys who come from Call of Duty and play on default, which I wouldn't recommend. I always recommend tactical. It makes a lot more sense. But you could put your crouch as B and then have your A as the switch mode, because it's even closer. Because when you do go from your right stick, because you want to have everything as close as possible to your right analog stick or left analog stick as possible, because you don't want to move your hand all over the place, because it's very hard to aim and do so at the exact same time. And then I put my jump button as the right stick down, and this is because you're jumping all the time when you're cranking 90s, jumping high ground retakes, all that kind of good stuff. You're going to be constantly jumping, so you want to have it very, very accessible. And it might seem a little bit weird. Some people would still prefer to have their jump at A, but having it on the analog stick, I think, is going to be very, very helpful. So that's why I would put it on the right stick. Some of you guys might disagree, like I said, but I think this is probably one of the best binds, best layout for the combat controls that you can have, in my opinion, because you have pretty much everything that you need as accessible as possible. Of course, like switch mode, you're going to be pressing a lot, but of course, you can't have everything on the analog stick or accessible to it, so you're going to have to move things around depending on how important it is. Something like jumping and editing, you're going to be doing constantly, so you want to have it as accessible as possible. That's why I have it on the left stick and the right stick. And so now we're going into the build controls here in this video. So we have inventory up, we have pick trap on left. You can pick your traps that way. Down below that, on the right on the D-pad, you have change materials / trap. And this is something that I do quite a bit, but honestly, when it comes to your build controls, you have to have the most important things as accessible as possible. So putting it on the right of the D-pad is just probably going to be your best bet. So emote, of course, is down the D-pad, so L3 is still going to be edit. That doesn't change when you're building. If you're not, it doesn't change. Edit still going to be L3. And so going over on the right side, everything's pretty much the same as last one, except for the trap, place, and interact is going to be on X. And you can even have that on A if you really want to. It really just depends which button you feel more comfortable on pressing, how fast you can press it. So I'd recommend having it on that, because you can't really have it. For me, on mine, I have it as the left stick, but of course you want to have that as edit on if you don't play claw, if you don't play on anything like that, scuff, elite, then you probably want to have it as close as possible, because you need that left stick and also need that right stick. So there's not really too many other things you can do. So that's what I would recommend for the build controls on your controller. So moving into the edit controls, now this one's a little bit different. So my confirm is going to be LT. I have that on my settings as well, so I think that's very, very good, having left trigger as a confirm. I think it's a very good confirm button. That's what I'd recommend having. And then on the left side, LB is going to be unbound, and you have inventory, unbound, map, emote. You can really have any order on those as you want. Really doesn't make too much of a difference. Left stick, unbound. Moving on to the right side, we have select as right trigger. Now everyone has that, it just makes sense to have that. And then right below that, reset button is going to be RB. I think this is probably your best bet, because you want to have something reset as easy as possible. On my settings, I have it as right stick down, but here on the I don't really know the best way to call it, the quickest way, the non-claw, non-elite paddle controller, whatever you want to call it. I think, it's best to have it on something very accessible, because on mine I have a bunch of paddles, so I can afford to put it on my right stick down. So, but if you don't have that, then I would recommend still having the jump on that one, and then just having your reset as RB. Makes it super easy, super convenient, having your reset, having your confirm, and then your edit bind is left stick down. I think that's very fluid, very easy to get used to, and especially if you have edit confirm on release, it just makes it 10 times easier to rip through a bunch of edits very, very quick, because all you have to do is press L3 to start your edit. And if you do happen to need a reset, you click L3, then you click RB, and then confirm with LT. I think that's super easy to do, doesn't take too much effort, and it's something you're going to be able to get very quickly, because I think these settings are very, very good if you do play on a non-scuff, non-paddle controller, non-claw, anything like that. I think these are going to be your best bet when it comes to settings, because if not, it's going to be very, very complicated, because there's just so many different things that you need to press in this game that you really want to have the most important things as accessible as possible. So building, editing, resetting, all that kind of good stuff, you want to have it as accessible as possible, because you want to have the things that you use the most, the easiest to press, and of course things that you may, you still use every game but not as frequent, so like reloading. Then you have maybe toggle pickaxe, things like that, where you can afford to put it a little bit further away from the analog stick, because the whole idea is, when someone plays claw or controller, is still being able to press. It's being able to press as many buttons as possible while not having to take your fingers off the analog stick. Now, there's some, for me personally, when I press, for instance, reload, I take my finger off the analog stick. But usually when I'm reloading, I'm not in the middle of someone just spraying at me, so it's not that big of a deal. But And same when it comes to keyboard, when you are choosing your binds for that, you want to have as many binds as possible, the ones that are most used, in which you can still hold down W key, you can still hold down the forward key while still being able to click as many buttons as possible. Now, there's going to be some buttons where you might have to take your finger off the W. Really just depend on the binds that you specifically have, but that's kind of the whole goal. And same with controller, the whole goal is to have as many buttons as possible, as close as possible to your analog stick, so you're able to still move, you're able to still aim while not having to just, take your finger off the analog stick every single time you want to change your gun, every single time you want to change your loadout, your pickaxe, your reload, building, editing, everything like that. So I think these are the best settings. Let me know what you guys think of these things. If you guys like them, if you guys found this helpful, definitely let me know. And with that being said, that's a wrap up for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys liked. Make sure you guys do smash a like. Make sure you guys do subscribe to the channel if you are new. Turn on my post notifications so you guys are notified for every single new video. And alright guys, I'll see you next video.